All the goth DJs and Twitch witches are hanging out on Thursday for the bad VHS rips, unblinking eyes, and fire by night. Thetans and Satans comes from an interest in the cult of Scientology, moral panics, Satanism, and how they set the tone for the extremist social media panics of today. We really earn our Weird Left Twitch badge with this show, watching the world go red light in reverse every Thursday at 9 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/EchoplexMedia. Find our full schedule at echoplexmedia.com.
Dave's Kung Fu is the best, I have to say.
In this world, I'm accessible of kindness and ethical blindness. So please excuse my sarcastic tone. I'm a bit underwhelmed by the sample shown. Mr. Bistro fraternity guy, you got my ass full of bloodshot eyes. Get drunk and fight every night. Idolize Bradley, belittle women's rights. Homophobic, racist, and don't give a fucking hey. Do you think you can drive a bigger truck? So wear your baseball cap to decide to let everyone know that you're a nice guy. So cool, we're so impressed. Lots of chicks in a barrel chest. Cause you're a real man. Punch for punch, gonna piss in your face while you're passed out drunk. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. He's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. She's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planet. Oh, I just can't understand it. Conquer divine by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, jerk off. I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, jerk off. Read into the lyrics, cause everybody gets their just desserts. As long as you remember that nice guys finish first. You're next on the list. Such a nice guy who speaks through his fits. Prick with a penchant for messing with heads. A broken nose for dinner and breakfast in bed. Alcoholic, paranoid, and suicidal too. But you're probably he'll her before she gets away from you. She rolls in a pool of blood and cry. All your friends say that you're a nice guy. Have a drink, this one's on me. Look, you're doing fine, losing to your disease. Comatose, I'll pack your bags. Bury you alive, castrated and gagged. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. We're all nice guys, but all of you are assholes. He's a nice guy, she's a nice guy. Hey, Tom Bone's a nice guy. All of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planet. The fundamental conquer the body by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, jerk off. I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, jerk off. Read into the lyrics, so let the fucking spill quench your thirst. As long as you remember that nice guys finish first.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Plex. We usually do this show Sundays at 7 p.m. Pacific, but today it was 100 degrees again. So we're doing the show at 9 p.m. Pacific when we can get some cooler air into the studio here, which is nice. We're moving end of this month, so any donations at streamlabs.com/echoplex or via any other method at echoplexmedia.com/support, really helpful. And, if you can't or don't want to spend any money, tell some friends about this show. You can also monthly subscriptions at Patreon or at eplex.store. Tonight's show, by the way, will be a freebie. We'll just put the whole show out for everybody to hear, and you'll be able to grab that on Patreon. I'm producer Dave, and this week I'm here to remind you that
everything's fine, and everything's fine, and it's great. Thanks. Everything's fine, and everything's fine, and it's great. Thanks. Everything's fine, and everything's fine, and it's great. Thanks. Everything's fine, and everything's fine. I hope you have a real nice day. The weather, the traffic, the time, and the news. How's your commute? What do you do? Sorry I'm late, I kept hitting snooze. It's just one of those days. You know what they say. It is what it is. Ignorance is bliss. When it rains, it pours. Couldn't ask for more. What goes around comes around, all in good time. I guess that your guess is as good as mine. Everything's fine and everything's fine and it's great. Thanks. Everything's fine and everything's fine and it's great. Thanks. Everything's fine and everything's fine and it's great. Thanks. Everything's fine and everything's fine. I hope you have a real nice day. Everything's fine and everything's fine and it's great. Thanks. Everything's fine and everything's fine and it's great. Thanks. Everything's fine and everything's fine and it's great. Thanks. Everything's fine and everything's fine. I hope you have a real nice day.
all right, I figured I'd start off with something a little bit fun here. Nobody likes Lindsey Graham, and I mean literally nobody likes Lindsey Graham, and here's some evidence of that from a Trump rally.
God bless America.
Oh, one more time.
God bless America.
I don't like Lindsey Graham either. Probably for a very different reason, though, than the people at that Trump rally. So, this week, another Donald Trump tape seems to have dropped. It is kind of great. I'm glad that it happened. And here it is. CNN got it and played it.
These are bad, sick people.
That was your coup, you know, against you.
Well, it started right at the
like
beginning.
when Millie's talking about, oh, you were going to try to do a coup. No, they were trying to do that before you even were sworn in. That's right. Trying to overthrow your election.
Well, with Millie, let me see that. I'll show you an example. He said that I wanted to attack Iran. Isn't it amazing? I have a big pile of papers. This thing just came up. Look. This was him. They presented me this. This is off the record, but they presented me this. This was him. This was the Defense Department and him. Wow. We looked at some. This was him. This wasn't done by me. This was him. All sorts of stuff. It's pages long. Look. Wait a minute. Let's see here.
Yeah.
I just found, isn't that amazing? This totally wins my case, you know. Mm-hmm. Except it is like highly confident.
Yeah, oops.
This is secret information. But look at this. You attack, and
Hillary would print that out all the time, you know.
she'd send it, no, she'd send it to Anthony Weiner, the pervert.
Please print.
By the way, isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
I was just saying, because we were talking about it. And, you know, he said he wanted to attack Iran and what? These are the papers. This was done by the military, given to me.
This, first of all, he just said that these are like top secret documents, so this is confidential stuff. But also, they probably drew up this plan at your request.
I think we can probably, right?
I don't know. We'll have to see. Yeah, we'll have to try to
Declassify
figure out
it.
yeah.
See, as president, I could have declassified it. Now I can't, but this is classified.
Now we have a problem.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
It's so cool. I mean, it's so, look, we here and I.
This is so cool. I'm violating the Espionage Act right now. How cool is that?
It's incredible, right?
No,
Hey, bring some cokes in, please.
Yeah, bring some cokes in. We're doing espionage right now. Like, what an absolute fucking dumb fuck this guy is. Like, it's amazing. He said almost the same thing to someone else on another tape too, when he was showing him a different document. He's like, oh, I'm not supposed to have this. It's not. I didn't declassify it. Could have, but didn't. Here is a video somebody put together of what Trump said on the tapes versus what he said during his Fox News interview.
The Iran attack plan. You remember that? Ready? You were recorded.
It wasn't a document. Well, with Millie, let me see that. I'll show you an example. Look, this was him. They presented me this. This is off the record, but they presented me this. This was him. This was the Defense Department and him. I had lots of paper. I had copies of newspaper articles. I had copies of magazines. This was done by the military, given to me.
The indictment cites the recording and the testimony from people in the room saying you showed it to people there that day. So you say on this on tape.
It says just the opposite. Except it is like highly confidential, secret. This is secret information. When I said that I couldn't declassify it now, that's because I wasn't president. I never made any bones about that. When I'm not president, I can't declassify. Yeah. See, as president, I could have declassified it. Now I can't, but this is classified.
That's what you said. You didn't declassify it.
I said, no. I said I couldn't
could have
but that wasn't a document. Brett, there was no document. But this is classified.
Now we have a problem.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
It's so cool.
The case is called United States versus Trump. You watch that, which is 1 minute, and we put that together on our team. It looks like Trump versus Trump.
Yeah, it's true. He's like undermining himself. He keeps getting these kind of incompetent lawyers, and I think it's because he won't listen to a competent lawyer. Like, a competent lawyer would be like, hey, dude, this is already really bad. You should shut the fuck up. He's like, but I got to run for president. So this is a Real America's Voice correspondent. We just talk about it doesn't even actually matter what's on the tapes or basically anything that Trump did. It's America first, baby. But usually for that, and this, it just means Trump first.
To the leftists in America, and I believe I'm speaking for MAGA when I say this, we don't give a damn what that recording says. Honestly, if you listen to the recording, all it shows is that President Trump was showing how attacked he was for putting America first. The mainstream media and how all of these leftists, this coup attempt against him, what was going on when he was president, even by the military-industrial complex, who are supposed to be taking his orders, but we're working to undermine him. And all you have to do is look at what's happening now, and it proves his point. They're going after him, this fraudulent indictment against President Trump. So no, I don't care what the recording says. You could bring out 100 other recordings of President Trump.
They're fake
what
deeps.
I know is President Trump put America first, and the Democrats in Washington.
I'm surprised that more of these rats aren't actually jumping ship, because things are starting to look pretty bad here. But I guess like Real America's Voice isn't going to be the one that we would expect to to jump ship. They're probably going to be the last one. They're going to be the rats that go down with the ship. This is from Newsmax. This is but when he was violating the Espionage Act subsequent to losing his election, he was just doing it off the record.
I don't know where else this would have come from.
Well,
where else would it have? I don't know.
It couldn't have come from
the
anyone.
reporter that recorded it. I don't know.
It wasn't. It's impossible. The reporter wouldn't have. As you heard in the reporting, they said off the record. He said off the record. They wouldn't do that. There has to be some evidence that came from the DOJ. Why? Because they're losing. They're losing in the polls. They're losing in the media, and they're losing this case. That's what happens.
Do you think they? Do you think they?
Nothing's happened yet. They can't. They're losing in the polls. I don't even know what that means. Or do we have an election to decide the outcome of this case? They're losing in the media. That doesn't mean anything. What she just said doesn't mean anything. But I liked where she was like, but it was all off the record. Like why? I don't know who leaked that. I think the fucking DOJ probably, or the fucking, I think the prosecutors or the U.S. Attorney's Office probably leaked that. Or maybe it wasn't even leaked. Maybe it was released as part of the indictment. I don't fucking know. Anyway, here's a GOP representative, Tim Burchett, talking about Trump's mishandling of classified documents.
All right, I want to turn to the exclusive audio CNN obtained of a conversation the former president had in 2021 regarding sensitive documents, those that are at the center of his indictment. Take a listen.
I was just saying, because we were talking about it. And he said he wanted to attack Iran and what? These are the papers. This was done by the military, given to me. I think we can probably, right?
I don't know. We'll have to see. Yeah, we'll have to try to
declassify.
Figure out
yeah. See, as president, I could have declassified.
Yeah.
Now I can't. But this is
now we have a problem.
Isn't that interesting?
Like my favorite part is the staffer, whoever the staffer was like, looks like we have a problem now.
Proven guilty in a court of law. But I want to ask you about politics and electability. Do you think someone who admits to showing classified information to another person who should not be seeing it is a person who should be elected to be commander-in-chief again?
Well, I think it's just Trump being Trump. Honestly, I mean, he's just.
Wait, what does that mean, though? It's just Trump being Trump. It's like, the neighbor. They just do a bunch of murdering. It's just neighbor Bob being neighbor Bob.
New York bravado there, obviously for a female counterpart. I couldn't see who it was, but I don't put a lot of faith in all that. The odd thing about it is, the more people turn up the heat on Trump, the more his numbers go up. It's almost undescribable. When I get hit, I see my numbers plummet, and so Trump's just it's bizarro world, and Trump is obviously the one that always seems to benefit from it, but it's almost uncanny. Every time he gets hit with something, I see new polling numbers, and he just keeps going up. I think it just shows that the public at least the conservative base, just doesn't trust the media and doesn't trust Washington, which is unfortunate.
But what's that line in 1984 about like not trusting what you hear with your own ears and see with your own eyes? Because that's what he's describing here. That's an audio tape that's clearly Donald Trump basically bragging to somebody about having classified documents after he's the president, after he's done being the president.
Okay, so that's your political take. Let's talk about the legal take, particularly since I know you're a member of Congress. You understand the importance of classified information, how it should be handled. This is a former president who is admitting that he has a piece of paper that is classified, that he cannot declassify because he is a former president, and basically saying he shouldn't be showing it. Do you think that's okay?
No, of course not. But all I heard him saying there was that the military is wanting to go to war with somebody else. And so, there's not a lot of clarification there. And I'm just playing.
Except for the part where he said this is all secret. And the other person was like, oh, looks like we have a problem now.
Attorney. I actually have worked for a living. So I've never been an attorney. I passed a lot of laws, but I usually have to ask a lot of attorneys to find out exactly the details of what we just passed. So,
you should maybe, sir, to do your job, you should maybe inquire with legal experts before you vote on the law, not after.
And all that'll come out. That's one little snippet out of the big timeline. But yes, does it bother me that documents? I think we need to refigure this whole deal, ma'am. I think classified documents ought to have a specific handler, And when that person,
they do have people that can handle them. There are different clearance levels that allow you to see different types of documents. And the president of the United States has basically God level clearance, can basically read every document, or at least that's what we're told, right? But then the day that you become no longer the president, you don't have any security clearance anymore. You can't see shit.
Documents that they stay with that handler who has a very high, because that's the way Congress is treated.
Yeah.
We can't walk out with it.
Sure.
You know, and so it's just ridiculous, you know. And of course, classified briefings. When I was first elected, I remember I turned to an old Democrat who was a friend of mine. I said, let me get this straight. After we get this classified briefing, I can probably catch most of this on CNN in about 30 minutes. And he said, no, Tim, it'll actually be about 15 minutes.
Well, I know. And I've heard you say that. I believe that what you get and what the president gets might be a slightly different. But you told my colleague Manu Raju that if the former president is convicted, you do not think he should be president. Do you still feel that way?
Yes, ma'am. I think if he's convicted in a court of law, but what's he going to be convicted of? If he's convicted of if it's like Hunter Biden, where they just give him a slap on the wrist and send him on his way, well, I don't know.
Hunter Biden turned himself in and took the plea deal.
Going to be convicted of, you know, it's under the espionage section of the code, but it doesn't have anything to do with espionage. Actually, it's not turning over documents to an enemy.
Well, I should just say, unfortunately, we're out of time, that the Espionage Act doesn't merely say that you have to turn it over. There are other portions of the Espionage Act. We can talk about that and much more. I'd love to have you back on. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much, sir.
I just love that guy just said that he passes he'll vote yes on fucking bills. And then after he votes yes on a bill, he'll go, I'll go talk to somebody with legal expertise to tell me what the fuck the law I just passed is. Fucking the best and the brightest representing you in Congress in the United States. Just the most thoughtful people. Just the absolute most thoughtful people. So here's a scene from a Trump rally. I was actually kind of stunned when I heard this. I'm usually not shocked by a lot of what the sort of person on the street at the Trump rallies say, but this one's a little different.
What should President Trump do on day one when he gets back in?
Lock him up!
Lock him up, right? The deep state, take it down?
Yeah, take it down. And take him to the train station.
Whoa!
Train station?
Yeah, even the RSBN guy is like, oh, I don't know about that.
The deep state's got to go, right? The deep state.
Even I think that's the new guy Marge Taylor Greene is dating. Even he was like, oh, maybe not so much that. These people, they just fucking say anything. I feel like I don't have to tell anyone in the audience what that is a reference to. Anyway, here's Ron DeSantis has a new campaign ad, and it is what it is.
I will do everything in my power to protect our LGBTQ citizens.
If Caitlyn Jenner were to walk into Trump Tower and want to use the bathroom, you would be fine with her using any bathroom she chooses.
That is correct.
In the future, can transgender women compete in Miss Universe?
Yes.
Make America great again.
Psych!
It really has shut down drag.
Just produced some of the harshest, most draconian laws that literally threaten trans existence.
Congratulations, Ron DeSantis. Mission accomplished. You win.
This is incredibly cringe. But, Trump's fans may be real homophobic, but yeah, Trump fucking most of the time when asked about gay issues, I don't know if he believes the shit, but he fucking knows which way that wind's blowing. And so he doesn't fucking just pump out fucking homophobia. It's the only it's the only thing I could say positive about him. But that DeSantis ad, it's like he was running for the president of Reddit, I think, or the president of blue checkmark Twitter, right? He wasn't running for the president of the United States. Like, normal people aren't going to understand any of the references in that. And those are the people that he's trying to get to vote for him in the primary. If he's actually trying to win in the primary, if he's not just trying to maybe raise his status as a politician for a later run. Anyway, here's Newsmax. They're just deeply unsure of the timeline of a great many things. Just deeply unsure.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, John, you mentioned China. So the whistleblower who testified, Gary Shapley, talked to the folks and said, look, we found this text message on WhatsApp, which is essentially a tool you can use to communicate with people from another country. And in it, he's texting.
Wait, that's not what WhatsApp is. It's an encrypted message service. You can communicate to somebody in another country via SMS.
Saying, I'm sitting here with my father and would like to understand why the commitment made has not been fulfilled. Tell the director that I would like to resolve this now before it gets out of hand. And now means tonight. He also said that I will make certain that between the man sitting next to me and every person he knows and my ability to forever hold a grudge, you'll regret not following my direction. Who's the man sitting next to him?
Wait, look at those final 11 words right there. I'm sitting here waiting for the call with my father, his father, right. Vice President Joe Biden.
Sitting there
at the time.
with his father.
Vice President Joe Biden at the time. No, that was July of 2017. He was no longer the vice president.
Biden says that they don't discuss business. He's never had any sort of
It's just more evidence to go against the long list of lies by Joe and Hunter Biden.
Joe Biden was no longer the fucking vice president. Mike Pence was vice president at that time. Anyway, that's sort of just sniping at minor things. So there's not much to say about that. This next one is one of Trump's January 6th co-conspirators complaining about there was a Supreme Court ruled on a few things this week, or put out some decisions this week. Most of them weren't so great, but they did refuse to strike down laws preventing race-based gerrymandering. And so one of Trump's cohort didn't like that decision very much.
Happened today, this ruling by the court?
Well, this is a very disappointing ruling. The final check is what Congress does on January 6th in terms of certifying what comes out of the Electoral College and therefore flows back to the state legislatures. So, the whole January 6th committee was an effort to try to block out the idea of the fact that Congress has any role in this process, eliminating one of the three forums. And now, in terms of the state legislatures, this decision will make it very, very difficult for state legislatures to potentially, to use their power because.
So he's like, because some states were suing because there's laws against, or some people were suing because there's laws against drawing districts specifically based on race to try to have a black district and a white district or whatever. And he's like, well, now the state legislatures don't have any power. Well, yeah, they should. I don't think they should have that power. That shit should be hell of illegal. That should be hell of illegal. I don't even like the idea that districts aren't mostly like squares and rectangles and shit. I don't know why, the way districts look. Have you ever seen some of the crazy ass districts? Doesn't make any sense. Up next, there's a group called No Labels that hasn't really been in the news very much lately, but here's a great exchange that they're having with, I don't even know what Next with Kyler Clark is, but this lady from No Labels, she's just fabulously stupid.
The Lever, which is a progressive news outlet founded by Colorado's David Sirota, calls No Labels a dark money front for corporate interests. Is that true?
Absolutely not. In fact, we don't take any corporate money. Any organization like ours, we're a 501c4, just like the League of Conservation Voters, we do not disclose donors, but you need to judge us on what we're doing, not the intentions of any given donor. It is really.
She's like, we don't take big corporate donations, but also we're not going to tell you anything about the money we're raising.
Using our collective energy, time, and treasure to do, and it's to give the American people a choice when they've been very clear they do not want a rerun of 2020. They don't want a conversation about the past. They want to move into the future, and they want problems solved.
So, as you point out, you're not taking money from businesses, from corporations, but the question is whether essentially you're a front for the people who run those corporations, the people behind them who can give the money. Why not tell folks who your funders are?
Because it opens people up to incredible scrutiny.
Pressure, yes, that's true.
To be quite honest,
people, including you and the other people who run the No Labels organization, yes, it would open you up to much scrutiny.
Judge us by what we are doing. Judge us by what we say. And what we are doing is giving voice to the common sense majority. And I know you know who they are. You probably talk to them in your everyday real life. They're everywhere. And they do not want a repeat of 2020.
The average person probably doesn't even know what the No Labels group is, right? So I'm not sure that they're speaking for the common sense majority or whatever. Also, common sense doesn't fucking mean anything. Like, you could say something's common knowledge when you think most people know, like, okay, most people know what the name of the name of the NASA shuttle that exploded. It was the Challenger. That's common knowledge. But that's different than common sense. Common sense means people agree with me. Anyway, here's Wendy Rogers. She's cooked, and she's talking about how she's going to pill some of the Arizona Rangers, which is, I believe, a law enforcement organization.
Who knew that Elon Musk would open up Twitter? It's funny, but it's true. I was just with a couple of Arizona Rangers the other night here in Flagstaff, and I said something about some news item, and they said, we didn't know that. I said, you follow Twitter, right? And they said, no. And I said, that's really the truth highway. Give me your phone. So I took both of their phones, and for the next hour, I sat there, got them set up on Twitter, and then told them who to follow. And they said, well, we don't want to be inundated. I said, no, you don't understand. The more sources I tell you to follow, the more tailored your feed is going to be.
Right.
You want your feed to have truth. You want Peter McCullough. You want Cat Turd. You want
Cat Turd. You want the truth. You want Cat. That's Cat Turd 2, ma'am.
DC Drano. You want Jack Posobiec. You want Carrie Lake. You want Wendy Rogers. And I got them all set up, and man, they thought I'd hung the moon, because after that, now they're in the groove to get the truth.
She's like describing, she's like trying to pill like essentially, I think, like the state troopers of Arizona. Fucking like whatever. It's only 2 of them. They probably never looked at Twitter again. They were probably like, all right, whatever, lady. They probably went and uninstalled Twitter from their phone after this. Anyway, up next is Christian nationalists are real happy with the Supreme Court for the most part, and they're going to talk about maybe taking advantage of it in whatever way they can on a show called Pray with America's Leaders that I've never seen before. Shout out to Right Wing Watch for providing this to us, of course.
Everywhere that crosses went down, they go back up. Everywhere that the 10 Commandments was taken into the closet, it comes back out. Everywhere that prayer was taken out, it goes back in. Everything has changed. And the problem is that people don't understand this. So we've been trained for 50 years. You can't do that. You can't have a nativity scene at your lawn. You can't have.
Nobody ever said you can't have a nativity scene on your lawn.
You can't have the players.
You can put that shit on your lawn.
And coaches coming together to pray after the football game.
Oh, you can't do that.
Oh, yes, you can. All that's changed. And so the biggest problem we're having is we realized, we have got to, It's like God has won all this land for us, just massive land. And we just have to occupy it.
Yeah.
And so this is about every person in every community of the country taking back their own community. So we are going to have a nationwide campaign really to educate people and empower them called Restoring Faith in America, because that's what this is going to do. As soon as people start realizing what they can do, and one community does it, the other community is going to look at them and they're going to do it. And people of faith everywhere need to be going and saying, hey, why don't we have prayer at our school board meeting? Because there's no reason not to. And, you know, and they can do that with 1,000 different things where we can really restore faith in America. And it's going to be a major push.
See, the thing is, though, he's wrong, because Chief Justice Roberts and surprisingly to everyone, Amy Coney Barrett have been siding with the liberal justices on these kinds of issues around church and state. Nobody thought in a million years that that'd be Amy Coney Barrett would be doing that. And I think there was even one where Kavanaugh joined the liberal justices when it was a church-state separation thing. So they're not like these people. The conservative majority on the Supreme Court are bad people with bad policy and make a lot of bad decisions. But they seem not to be all in lockstep with Christian nationalism. And so the guy's just wrong. Here we go. We have this guy he's a slavery understander. And when I call someone a slavery understander on this fucking show, you probably know what's coming. Here we go. Here's a historian, actually, a historian and a slavery understander.
150 years ago, or 200 years ago, when the blacks were slaves, did they ever go to Washington, D.C. and have a rally 200 years ago to protest against slavery?
Well, dude, did you know that when you're enslaved, the person whose chattel property you are now, they're not going to let you go to Washington, D.C. to protest slavery? You absolute fucking genius.
Did they? No. What did they do? Well, a lot of good people in the plantations would say, hey, it's wintertime. Let us help build a church for you, dear folks. And it's
wintertime? How
to read so they can read the Bible. And here's what the blacks did about 150 years ago. They humbled themselves. They prayed. They sought God's face and they turned from their wicked ways. And God made slavery illegal through several white presidents, right? It worked, didn't it? They didn't protest.
Oh my fucking God. I listened to that whole thing through, right? Because I was like, ooh, this guy looks like a slur, right? You look at the guy and you're like, this guy's probably going to drop a slur in this. I listened to it and I listened to it again. It was worse the second time that I listened to it here on the show. Usually you get desensitized to some shit, right? Not that one. Can't get desensitized to that bullshit. Here's another clip from Right Wing Watch. And what I'm going to say, I think this chat does skew atheist, but there are a lot of people here who do go to church as well. And what I want you to do is if you see this at your fucking church, go to a different church.
You're not going to have to cut your children's genitals off to get ESG money after this comes to place. They're talking about how you'll sign up. I've got carbon.
Here, call for a prayer. Alex Jones is going to scream a prayer at you.
And go to Hawaii for a year and be euthanized by the government. I sign on to it, really, they make you do it. Or I can live 10 years and eat bugs. People are going to opt into suicide. It's going to be promoted like transgenderism. You think they're cutting women's breasts off and 7-year-old boys' genitals off? Think that's crazy?
They're not.
Canada's already pushing government-forced suicide on children that are wards of the state and mentally ill people where the government's in control and says, well, we decide they die. So if you think
Canada did no such thing.
Children's genitals off, they are going to celebrate. They already have ads in Canada produced by the government. This woman's wonderful. She was depressed and she killed herself and it was good for the earth. And what you're against their choice to kill themselves? So they'll tell you, You can get credits for your family for 2 years when they collapse everything, but you've got to euthanize yourself. Sign right here. And they'll be like, look at this hero. He was euthanized. And they give him this great drug where you feel great.
This is so completely detached from reality.
Grind you up and use it for fertilizer on food. 23 states have passed human compost to grow the food. The whole plant.
Human compost. Yo, listen, I mean, if we found out that human compost was like was the most nutrient rich thing, I still wouldn't want to eat no fucking corn fertilized with human compost, right? That squicks me the fuck out.
It's ready. The bug factories are ready. Okay? They're coming. They're here. Soon, nobody will be able to deny it. They will kill you.
Are the people in the audience like cheering?
The bug factories are ready. Okay? They're coming. They're here. Soon, nobody will be able to deny it.
Are the people, I can't even tell if the people in the audience are agreeing with him or if they're like yelling at him.
They will kill you if they can.
I couldn't tell if the people in the audience, it's like 50-50 as far as I'm concerned, if the people in the audience were like kind of cheering with him or like getting outraged with him, or if they were yelling at him and maybe telling him to shut the fuck up. I hope it's the second, but it's just as likely that it's the first. So this one's going to be pretty heavy with religious batshittery this week. It's just been what the media diet is. This is our friend Sean Fucht from Reading, from Shasta County, because like really it all comes back to Shasta County. I wouldn't be surprised if in 5 years you see Alex Jones moving to Shasta County. Anyway, he's gonna relate a story that I don't think is true, because if it was, I think he'd be incriminating himself.
I am coming as a spy that has probably been to more cities than maybe anyone in America in the last 3 years. And I'm here to tell you, yeah, the people are big, the principalities are big, but the fruit is amazing.
He's coming out as liking gay people.
The testimonies, the healings, the miracles, the breakthrough. I mean, it is things that I never dreamed I would see in my lifetime. And I've been all over the world, and what we're seeing right now in America, I mean, I literally just got back from worshiping, praying, prophesying, taking communion in the U.S. Capitol Rotunda. We transformed that rotunda. This is our second time we did it. We snuck in with cellos, violins, guitars, members of...
Oh, wait, we watched this. You didn't sneak in. You were there. You had a concert at the Capitol Rotunda. No, we watched this.
We laid hands all over that place. We brought oil. We brought shofars. We're crazy.
Yes, that's accurate. Yeah, they are. Yeah, the thing he's talking about, we watched on stream. I don't think it's possible to sneak in somewhere with amplified sound. Like they had, a sound system. It's pretty hard to sneak somewhere with a sound system. Believe me, I used to try. We used to try to throw illegal raves, and we got busted a lot of the time trying to do it. And none of them were at the Capitol, so I think that they got a permit. So that's the opposite of sneaking in anywhere. I have a feeling they kick you out of the Capitol Rotunda no matter who you are if you try to throw a concert there, unless you get a permit. And I bet he probably got a permit. I bet Marjorie the Gathering probably helped. This is weird. We got Jim Baker. I've been doing a lot of Jim Baker lately. I remember one time when we were a little more bold and doing a little more maybe problematic stuff during red light. The media wench called to ask questions about the buckets of slop, and the person answering the phone didn't really know because we just reached a call center. But then the media wench said that it was Jim Baker, and the lady said, "Can you spell it?" And she said, "Oh, it's Jim Baker with 2 Ks." The lady said, "With 2 Ks." And media wench said to the lady, "Yeah, they took the third one out after the war." And that's it was a long time ago. And I think that was sort of the end of us covering Jim Baker every week. But every once in a while, he pops back up on the radar. And here he is telling us that God will not be mocked.
Why do you think judgment's coming? Because we have cursed God. We have mocked God. God is not mocked. No. Whatever a man sows, that's what he's going to reap. Yes. And God is going to judge America. Our president is having woke events at the White House.
I wish I would have got invited.
Did you see that?
Absolutely. It's shocking.
He had the woke.
He had the pride flag.
Pride flag.
Yes.
Hanging above or between the two American flags.
Right.
But there was an American flag on top of the building too, so you can't. The flag code isn't even a law anyway. But
and you say, "Oh, why? Well, that's okay." That's not okay.
No.
That's against God.
No, that's fine.
The Pentagon celebrated this unholy union.
Well, Jim, we need to introduce Jim to Kay Griggs, honestly, because the military's been fucking
celebrating. God is going to judge America. America is no longer a Christian nation.
No.
That's right.
America never was a Christian nation. It's not even a majority Christian nation anymore. I think Christians are still the plurality. But, yeah, it's no longer... I don't know what to tell you, buddy. Here's Kent Christmas. I think it's a funny name for like an evangelical weirdo to call himself. I mean, is that his real name? Do you think Kent Christmas is his real name, or do you think he fucking changed his name to Kent Christmas so that he could be like extra Christmassy? I hope it's his real name, but I have a feeling this guy changed his name at some point to Kent Christmas. Well, he don't like the Barbie movie. That tells me that he went and saw the Barbie movie.
And I curse in the name of the Lord this new Barbie movie.
Hold on.
And I curse in the name of the Lord this new Barbie movie that has been released full of transsexual and transgender and homosexuality. In the name of the Lord, make God loose a holy judgment. Hallelujah. Go ahead and write in all that you want. What's happened is the church has been
dude, is he jacked? I think Kent Christmas might be jacked.
That we're
Roid
afraid
rage?
to stand up and declare, thus saith the Lord.
Yo, the Barbie movie sounds awesome. I wasn't inclined to watch it because, much like Kent Christmas, I don't think I'm really the target audience for a Barbie movie. But now, yeah, I'm maybe inclined to watch it. This is South Dakota State Representative Joe Donnell is going to talk about Mount Rushmore. And it's not usually when it's such and such person is on these things talking about Mount Rushmore, they're just pissed that Trump isn't on it. Now this goes a whole other fucking direction. Again, shout out to Right Wing Watch.
You go back and do some history on Mount Rushmore. It actually is a Freemason shrine. It was called a shrine all the way in the back in the newspapers. It was spoken about for what it was. Just like Crazy Horse Mountain. The guy who did that was a Mason as well. And so I've been on assignments over there, and one assignment I went on, God told me that he was going to expose the evil eye. So I was like, okay, what does that mean? So I go over there and I start walking, and I start finding all these stakes, these engineering stakes in the ground with the evil eye on them, with a triangle. And I was like,
so you actually saw these wood stakes that were
they're metal stakes. They're metal. Okay. They're those engineering, the top of the engineering stake.
Okay.
And then as I began to do my research more, I realized that it was set up to enshrine democracy or the Declaration of Independence.
Wait, no, it wasn't.
It was to enshrine or to give, I don't know how you say a shrine, but a shrine is a place of worship. How do we worship our great thing we did with our government, right? And so that was the idea behind it. And so now the Freemasons went down and put a tunnel in there or a cave in there. And then,
have you been to the cave? Have you seen the cave?
Well, I've seen the cave, but I've not been in it. They wouldn't let us go in it. I guess no one can go in except certain people. So basically it was closed up, but that's what we're dealing with. And what the Lord revealed to me is that this Mount Rushmore has a direct ley line to Washington, D.C. And he said basically
a direct, what the fuck does that mean, a direct ley line?
Continue to work in prayer and do the work of the ministry, that God was going to break that connection. Because it's like, in order to understand the spiritual realm and what we're facing, we have to realize that in order for the enemy to do anything, he needs the agreement of human beings.
Well, that's a very not powerful devil.
In order to be empowered to do more damage, he needs the agreement of human beings. And oftentimes that comes in the form of an altar, an active altar that acts as a portal for demonic.
He's like tapping on the table as he's talking. He would be driving me absolutely crazy if he was a guest on my show. I'd be like, stop tapping the fucking table.
That's what we're dealing with. And people that are into that are brought into it because they think they're doing good. Some of them, they think they're doing the right thing. And then we have all kinds of people that are trying to get into native practices, New Age religion. And that's like a hotbed for all that. And so when I go into the Black Hills, I really have to prepare myself because there's a lot of stuff going on. But I just know that God is doing something. Even Donald Trump's landing in the Black Hills at Mount Rushmore, July 4th, when the Governor Kristi Noem put the message out that fireworks are returning to South Dakota, that was a prophetic word. And God spoke to me. He said,
it was prophecy that fucking you'd have fucking sparklers in fucking North Dakota now or whatever.
When Donald Trump steps foot on this territory, he said, there's something that's going to be done as far as the Constitution being upheld. It's going to bring a breakthrough with the Constitution. And I kind of got the feeling that what we're really dealing with in that portal is communism. That witchcraft altar and those things that are happening in the Black Hills is what we're really dealing with is communism. It's the ideology and all the demonic entities and spirits behind that.
Oh, well, boy, aren't you glad we all learned that? People vote for that guy. I just want to make sure, people vote for that guy. So there was this show that we were watching. It sort of reminded us of Fire by Night, and it seemed to have stopped after one episode. But apparently it's back. So we're gonna have to try to remember the name of this show and go find it, because this is the most aggressively unfunny clip I've ever seen. I watched it like 4 fucking times. It is so unfunny.
Back in 2018, Kim Jong-un gifted 2 white hunting dogs to President Moon. The dogs are now considered the property of the state, and President Moon doesn't want to pay for them. So there's a possibility that the dogs are going to be turned over to the presidential archives. The citizens of North Korea have been left singing the same song for the last 4 years. Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out? It's possible that Kim Jong-un may actually take the dogs back. And
you know what, though? The old guy on the fucking keys is living his best life.
In fact, he was quoted as saying, "I like the meat much better when it's aged." And listen, we got a great show for you.
So the name of the show was like Made of Light, Man of Light. Was it Made of Light? I think it was maybe Made of Light. If we can somebody find out the name of that show? That's amazing. It was just aggressively unfunny. I can't believe he tried. You know what, though? Again, when he started singing Who Let the Dogs Out, Pops over there was living his best fucking life for sure. Anyway, so what we got now is Benny Johnson. Benny Johnson is, as Justin Freakin, R.I.P. Justin Freakin's channel, as Justin Freakin would say, one of the dumbest motherfuckers walking the planet.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Joe Biden's going to New York. Unfortunately, he won't be able to pick up a slice of pizza when he gets there. New York has canceled pizza. Well, Benny, you might say. Isn't New York like the place that has some of the most famous pizza in the world? The most historic and well-known pizza places? The coal, the brick, the wood, the fire. Aren't those places in New York City? Is it every mafia show and every Sopranos, everyone's eating pizza, everyone's going to a pizza place? Isn't New York City like the mecca for all pizza? Yes. And that's the point. The point of the Green New Deal, the point of the Great Reset, the point of the World Economic Forum is to humiliate you, denigrate you, and to prove that you, the little people, cannot have the nice little things that you have wanted so badly in your life, that you have grown accustomed to, like private property, like non-federally backed cryptocurrency.
How'd that work out for everybody?
Having physical dollars in your hand, like hard currency, like these kind of things, like driving a car, driving an automobile, filling that car up with a fossil fuel. Those things you're not allowed to do. And you know, pizza,
but you are.
In a coal burning oven and in a wood fire burning oven, that creates fossil fuel. So you're no longer allowed
That doesn't create fossil fuel.
Microwave Totinos only from now on in New York.
A coal burning, I wouldn't, if I went to a pizza place and they're like, oh, this is the only pizza place left in New York with a coal burning oven, I'd be like, we need to go to a different pizza place. Shove 16 tons and what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt? Get the fuck out of here. But don't worry, there's another Benny Johnson clip. It might be even dumber than the one that we just watched. It's a high bar, but Benny Johnson, I believe in Benny Johnson, and I believe that he can do something even dumber than what we just looked at.
And I don't say the word Nazi. I say the word National Socialist. That's what Nazi stands for. It's very important. You should rub the socialists' faces in it. Rub their faces in it. Just remember that they like to say the word Nazi. Remind them that it's not Nazi. These people are National Socialists. That's just a shortening of National Socialism in Germany. You slip directly into National Socialist ideology when you do that. When you start judging people by blood libel. Oh, you're just part of this greater group. We don't like that group, or we really like.
Whoa, hey man, let's not let's be real careful when we talk about blood libel, especially when we're talking about it in relationship to National Socialism and Nazis. I feel like we should maybe be careful about that.
That group, we're going to give them a bunch of privileges and you none, or the other way around. It always leads to the same place.
Blood libel, he thinks blood libel means that you're guilt by association. No, blood libel is the idea that Jewish people killed babies and ate them and drank their blood. It's what QAnon and the Satanic Panic were based on. This guy either doesn't know or doesn't care. I'm going to assume he doesn't know because he's incredibly fucking stupid and uninformed. So I'm going to assume he doesn't know. Up next, we got, I kind of like this. It's incredibly terrifying, but this is by The Real Daily Liar. And here's a 5-minute animated video. I forget who makes these. It might be The Daily Liar that makes these, and they're amazing.
I mean, think about it. As Christians, we are fighting a war against the devil himself. We are advancing against the darkest forces of the universe, and we're marching with God on our side. And all the while, all around us, on a dimension that's invisible to our mortal eyes.
No, it's Amon. Shout out to Amon, because we're just basically stealing your content to run
Angels
here.
and demons and supernatural forces, both good and evil, and they're fighting and they're working to defend and destroy us. And this is all happening all around it. The stakes are infinite. Our souls hang in the balance. We're standing on a battlefield right now as we speak. We are soldiers. Some people demand that we, have evidence outside the Bible. And I think that's kind of silly, personally.
There's no secular argument against adult incest. Brother and sister want to make love. What's your argument? That they're going to produce mentally retarded offspring? It's nonsense.
But
why is that not? Well, we don't use that terminology anymore, but inbreeding is bad.
You got a man who stumbles across a DVD, a laptop that's got a bunch of child porn downloaded on it, and so he watches it. Now, you would probably, even as an atheist, I think you would instinctively say that he's wrong for watching. But why?
What do you mean why? Because we don't use the term child pornography anymore either. It's child sexual abuse material, CSAM, because these are depictions of child abuse. And that means that the demand for it creates more child abuse.
Just as they'll condemn slavery, even when the slavery benefits most people in society.
Oh my God. Oh no.
Is that we'd all end up worse. All of us today would be in a worse spot if slavery never existed at all across the entire globe.
There were undoubtedly many nice slaveholders in the South.
I am me, but I wish I were more than me. A dolphin can't do that. But if there is no God, then this is kind of the entire story of mankind. Man desiring to be free from himself, to be more than what he is, more than material.
The will of man's heart is towards evil from his youth.
If we research to cure doubt, then we're still relying on our own understanding and we're demanding proof. All he needs me to do is just come to the cross, kneel before it, and say, I'm here, Lord. Change me. Although we should always be very careful with that prayer, the change me prayer. He'll do it. He'll do it in ways that you didn't expect.
Babies are not kind. Babies are not murderers, not rapists, but they're not kind.
Babies are not kind.
All of life exists for them.
But the question is not whether a thing hurts someone. The question is, why should I care that I hurt someone? Why shouldn't I hurt someone? Why is God hidden? Why is he hidden from us? I'll admit that I've had moments in prayer sometimes where I say to God, God, if you would just reveal yourself. Can you just reveal yourself? Can you come out of the shadows just for 1 second and just show me your glory in all of its fullness, just for 1 second. That's all I'm asking for, just 1 second. But the vision never comes. But what is a woman?
You just really don't want to answer the questions, do you?
I want mommy, I want milk, I want to be held, I want to be comforted. And if you do not do all these things immediately, I will ruin your life.
Ever since the beginning of time, teenage girls have been getting pregnant. Girls between the ages of 17 and 24 is when they're technically most fertile, okay? That's biological. That's a fact, all right? I'm just stating facts. That's all I'm doing. So what I'm saying is that the problem is not per se teenage pregnancy. It's unwed pregnancy. That's the problem in society.
I violate my kids' consent all the time.
Congratulations, Elon. 4 billion views.
Oh yeah, everybody support Amon Animation. It's fucking amazing. It's amazing, and I think Amon uses Blender, if I'm not mistaken, to create all that too. So shout out to the open source software community for creating a wonderful tool like Blender that anyone can use for free. Here's Dave Rubin. Yeah, I know. We usually don't do Dave Rubin on fucking Sunday, but it's a bit of a slow news week. Here's the Rubin report. Here's Dave Rubin talking about Tim Pool having Jim Jordan on the Tim Pool show.
Jim Jordan then last night went on Tim Pool's podcast, which they shot from Lauren Boebert's office. A lot of names here. And they mentioned a little something about me and Elon and what else has been going on over there.
There are these apps you can use where you enter your name and it'll tell you the various filters that exist. But even Dave Rubin just mentioned Elon Musk just showed him new ones. They discovered new filters. But I guess, what I'm thinking is we often focus on the censorship aspect, which I think culturally and morally, those of us who care about real debate and logic and policy are shocked by. Yeah. But I'm also curious, how can Twitter, as a massive a company with 300 million plus users, lie about the product they're delivering? How can a corporation in America say, imagine this. Imagine if a company said, you come to me, here's a contract, you get a gallon of whole milk. Then they give you a gallon of 2%.
Yeah.
That sounds like they're falsely advertising what they're delivering.
Or they just fucked up and gave you the wrong gallon of milk.
Feed delivers you reverse chronological posts, but then they're using shadow ban algorithms, and we know they are. They're lying to their customers as to the product being delivered. How is that legal? How is that allowed?
Yeah, so one of the questions I asked too, that you made me think of this too, I asked this question, and I didn't fully understand it, but I asked if they were hard coding.
I bet, you know what I bet Tim didn't ask Jim Jordan any questions about? Wrestling.
Any specific accounts to censor them. So they're like targeting that specific user. And it was interesting how Yoel Roth and I want to go back and look at the transcript to see exactly how he said it, because he really didn't answer that square, that either. I agree. One of the things we want to do with legislation that we're planning on doing with Energy and Commerce Committee is anything they do to your account, they have to tell you. There has to be real transparency. There has to be a time frame. There has to be a due process so that you can correct it, figure out what it is, to have the debate and correct it within a specified amount of time. And then if they don't, then you should have some kind of cause of action because they're violating a contract that they have with you, their user, their customer.
Okay, so I like the end of that, right? He's talking about the user agreement we all sign. That means you have responsibilities, they have responsibilities, sort of like when you buy a product and that product.
But in the user agreement that you didn't read, nobody reads, is language to the effect of, we can change these terms at any time and we can make our changes retroactive.
In your face, they might be held accountable for that. I do, and we will reach out to Jim Jordan's team immediately after the show. We put this thing together on the fly today. When he's talking about, is it hardwired to people's specific accounts? I know that the answer is yes, because when we did the deep dive into my account, they found things that were just on my account. And then they also found that they were on other people's accounts as well, but meaning it was account specific. We don't like Dave Rubin. We're going to attach this stuff related to misinformation and it was literally like being mean and like a couple other things. So we know that it is hardwired in there, and that's why it's so difficult to take out. And we'll get that to Jim Jordan. Jim, are you watching?
It's hardwired in there. It's difficult to take out. Get the fuck out of here. No. It's not hardwired. It's software, Dave. It's software. You could remove those things can be removed very easily. Maybe not by Elon, and maybe he fired the people that fucking made that, and he doesn't know how to fucking remove it. I don't know, but that's not hardwired. It doesn't usually mean there's some software in here, there's some code here that does some things, or it's not even really that it's code. It's like the code is being used, the code, because the ability to like downrank accounts and stuff is part of the code, but I think the reasons and stuff, I don't think that anyway, trying to like reason with Dave Rubin while he's not even here seems like a waste of my time. I feel like the podcast listeners are like, all right, I've been here for an hour and how long, and you're arguing with what Dave Rubin said. Sorry, everyone. Up next, we got Michael Knowles. He's gonna do a Michael Knowles here. It's he doesn't, trans people don't have the right to have a job. Just typical Michael Knowles shit. He's like the C team over there at Daily Wire. He's sad.
Speaking of kids, speaking of the youths, Disney has cast its first transgender actor in a major role. Disney has hired a British man who identifies as a woman, YouTube personality who calls himself Abigail Thorne. I don't know what his real name is, but he calls himself Abigail, for a role.
Oh, that's fucking Philosophy Tube. That's a good channel.
Series, The Acolyte, according to multiple reports. And this is
not interested in
very bad
philosophy.
and shouldn't happen. And it's another reason never to let your kids watch Disney and certainly any new Disney, and to only go over and watch Daily Wire Plus kids content and other conservative kids content. But it's created a little bit of a division on the right between the conservatives and the squishier, more kind of live and let live, you have the right to do whatever you want kind of people. And the division has come down to this issue of, well, look, the free market can decide who gets cast for what roles. And come on, let's not be extreme here. Transgender people have the right to a job, right? They have the right to be in. And now there's a difference between a right to a job, first of all, and a right to be in children's content from Disney. But let's put that aside for a second. It's just
nobody has the right to a job, though.
People have the right to work. Transgender people have the right to a job. No, they don't. And they don't because there's no such category as transgender people.
Oh, come on. No, it's that nobody has the right to a job.
There are just people. There are people, and people are defined in a certain way, and people are defined by things outside of their own self-perception and their own disordered desires. There is no such thing as a transgender person.
There is such a thing.
There are just people, and some people are confused, and some people have fallen into fantasies, and some people are pursuing disordered sexual desires and fetishes, but that doesn't change who and what they really are. And so a man does not have any right to dress up in public life as a woman.
Yes, we do. Even people who aren't drag queens, just cis men, have a right to wear whatever the fuck they want.
And a man does not have a right to dress up like a woman to go do whatever job he wants. The Supreme Court, unfortunately, has ruled that a man does have that right. And
yes.
You saw this specifically in the Harris Funeral Homes case just a few years ago. And you've seen this in the Bostock decision, which says that civil rights protections on the basis of sex are actually, when you really think about it, civil rights protections on the basis of gender identity. And this is an absurd Supreme Court ruling, and it should certainly be overturned, as many Supreme Court rulings have been overturned in American history. But you don't have the right to do it. And transgenderism is such a hot issue that sometimes it's difficult for the liberals to see past it because they just are so invested in transcending the boundaries of reality.
I get accused of being a lib all the time, and I'm just invested in the rights and dignity of other fucking human beings.
But let me put it in another way and say that I really like frogs. And I really like the idea of, maybe I don't even view myself as a frog. I just really like the idea of being a frog.
You can dress up as one.
I don't have a right to show up to work in a big frog costume.
I think you should do this in a frog costume.
Even if I really like it. I mean, in this line of work, I've worn all sorts of crazy costumes in show business and politics. But even in this line of work, I don't have the right to show up to the show and then say, well, hello, everybody. Someday we'll find it, the Rainbow Connection.
This guy just accidentally did a pretty good Jordan Peterson impression.
I notice my accent is becoming a little bit like Jordan Peterson's. But okay, now we're really...
just keep doing the Jordan Peterson impression.
Exception of Daily Wire personalities and views and costumes. But nobody has that right. If you pull up to your McDonald's and you order a hamburger and then there's a guy in a big frog costume in the window, you would think that's a little bit weird, and I think the manager would think it's a little bit weird.
I'd be like, this is the only McDonald's I'm ever going to, is the McDonald's with the frog costume guy.
You would say, hey, go home and put on your uniform, put on your clothing that you're supposed to wear. And the same principle holds for men and women. Men don't have the right to dress up like women. Women don't have the right to dress up like men.
Yes, you have the right to wear whatever the fuck you want. I would suggest in a more open and a more free society, you'd have the right to walk around outside naked if you want.
If you are going to persist in those kind of deviant, disordered, scandalous, absurd, ridiculous behaviors of make-believe and dress up, an employer is not obligated to hire you, and an audience is not obligated to watch you. And we need to get a little bit more clear about that. That's the only way that we are going to eradicate the preposterous ideology of transgenderism from public life entirely for the good of society, and especially for the good of the poor people who have fallen prey to that delusion, such as this Disney actor.
You don't give a fuck about the people that you're claiming are victims. This is just a lie. He's not like, oh, I feel bad. They used to say the same shit about fucking cis gay people. They're like, oh no, I don't hate them. They're just doing it. They're just hurting themselves and they're hurting society. The same fucking shit. Same shit. They just figured out it was not going to even work with some of their more conservative viewers to do cis gay people. So they're like, let's move along to the trans people. And unfortunately, it's working to some extent. I got one more, though. I don't think we've ever run a clip of Libertarian Fonzie on the Sunday show or at all. If you don't know who Libertarian Fonzie is, he's Nick Gillespie of Reason. And I think the person who first called him Libertarian Fonzie was Michael Brooks, R.I.P. Michael Brooks. And this is, I didn't expect this. Here's Libertarian Fonzie versus RFK Jr.
Can I ask, because we're about out of time, but you know, one of the critiques of your candidacy or even your public profile is that you traffic routinely in conspiracies and a kind of conspiracist mindset where almost everything that, you know, we take for granted is bad. So it's you know, the COVID vaccines, you know, not only don't work, but they're more dangerous than COVID itself. 5G and Wi-Fi are controlling our mind. The government, you know, aspects of the government that are supposed to be in favor, trying to help people, actually into hurting them. AIDS is not, you know, primarily caused by HIV, or HIV is not involved in AIDS. Atrazine is changing frog sexuality and by implication human sexuality. Your cousin your cousin Michael Skakel is not guilty of the murder of Martha Moxley that he was found guilty of. You know, the 2004 election in Ohio was stolen. It kind of goes on and on. How do you answer people who say, you know, like, this is the sign of somebody whose thinking is fundamentally conspiracy minded rather than kind of dealing with brute reality, you know, that is difficult and and terrible, but is not what you seem to be making of it?
Well, you know, you did something very unfair, which is you made a series of characterizations of my belief, many of my beliefs that you've read in the newspapers.
Yo, somebody, can we find that interview? I want to maybe watch that interview on Catterday, because I wonder if fucking Libertarian Fonzie goes after him more than this. Because, listen, I don't agree with Libertarian Fonzie. He's a libertarian, but he's generally like on science stuff, and not just him, but Reason Magazine more recently has generally been kind of anti-conspiracy theory. And so maybe we should find that and take a look at that maybe late night sometime around here, because I wonder what else, if Libertarian Fonzie bodied him more than once during that interview, because that was great. He's like, you're doing an unfair thing here. You're reading back the views that I've expressed on other people's podcasts and on my own podcast, and you've done it in a way that I don't like, because you said all these things in a row and it makes me look bad. I didn't know the thing about where he thinks that I didn't know the thing that about his cousin having killed someone, and RFK Jr. saying that even though that they were convicted, that they didn't do it. I didn't know anything about that. I'd like to learn more about that. But I figure that's as good a place as any to end the podcast. Podcast listeners, this one's a freebie. Head on over to patreon.com/Echoplex. You can download the audio and video of this for free this week, because the show's I started late, whatever. We're giving this one away for free. And while you're there, think about joining up, or even better yet, join up at eplex.store. You get the same benefits as our patrons do, but you also get discounts on items about things like gay frogs. So this has been the Plex. This is supposedly our flagship show, although the Intellectual Dollar Tree absolutely bodies this show as far as numbers. So, share this show with your friends. I'm all people who listen to this only have one friend. Share this show with your friends. And usually this is where I say I'm going to change the color of the lights, but lights are already red. I am going to, however, change the content of my beverage, and we're going to get to red light. I'll be back in a minute. See everybody on the flip side. Live people, stay put. Oops.
Echoplex has a 24-hour stream? That's right. Check out our 24/7 music stream at echoplexmedia.com/live or at eplex.xyz. Our huge self-submitted local music library plays the best tunes the Bay Area has to offer, and commercial free, well, except for ours, and even by request. Check out the player on echoplexmedia.com or at eplex.xyz. Bookmark it and enjoy it all day. Echoplex is very supportive of our local music scene, and we hope you enjoy the soundtrack they've so graciously sent in for us to play on our network. If you like who you hear, please go check them out. The names of the artists are displayed on the player at echoplexmedia.com and at eplex.xyz.